welcome back to Now Read This, the Chronicles of Prydain, Book 5, The High King, Chapter 4, King Smoit's Castle. At dawn, King Rune made ready to part from the companions and ride farther westward to Avrin harbour, where he would advise his shipmaster of the change in plans. Fflewddur was to accompany him, for the bard knew the shallow fording places across the river and the swiftest paths on the opposite bank. Eilonwy had decided to go with them.
"I've forgotten half my embroidery thread in Rune's ship, and must have it if I'm to finish Henwen properly. Neither of you can find it, for I'm not sure myself where it might be. I believe I've left a warmer travelling cloak too, and a few other things. I don't remember where they are right now, but I'm bound to think of them once I get there."
Cole grinned and rubbed his bald crown.
"The princess," he remarked, "becomes more the lady in every way."
"Since I'm not staying on the ship,"
said Glue, whose decision of the night before remained unshaken,
"I see no reason to be taken out of my way. I shall follow with Lord Gwydion."
"That, my puny giant, is where you're wrong," the bard replied. "Mount up behind the King of Mona, if he can stand your company, and be quick about it. Don't think I'll let you out of my sight for a moment. Where I go, you go, and the other way around too, for the matter of that."
"Surely, Fflewddur," Terran said, drawing the bard aside. "Glue can't trouble us. I myself shall watch over him." The bard shook his tousled yellow head.
"No, my friend, I'll be easier in my mind if I see him with my own eyes, and at all times. No, the little weasel is in my charge. Ride on ahead, and we'll catch up with you on the other side of Avrin well before midday." "I'll be glad to see Smoit again," Fflewddur added. "That red-bearded old bear is dear to my heart. We shall feast well at Kadan, for Smoit eats as bravely as he fights."
Gwydion had already mounted Melingar and signalled them to hasten. Fflewddur clapped Terran on the shoulder and ran to climb astride Leanne, who was frisking gaily in the bright cold sun and pouncing at the tip of her own tail. King Rune, Fflewddur, Eilonwy, and Glue were soon out of sight. Bearing westward, Terran rode between Gwydion and Cole, while Gurgi, on his pony, trotted at the rear. They halted on the far bank of Great Avrin. Midday passed without a sign of the other companions. Though Terran was anxious about them, he preferred to believe they had not come to harm. "Rune has likely stopped to look at a badger tunnel or anthill," he said. "I hope it is no more than that."
"Never fear," said Cole. "Fflewddur will jog him along. They'll be here at any moment."
Terran sounded his horn, hoping the signal would guide the bard in case Fflewddur had mistaken the path. Still they did not come. Gwydion, having waited as long as he dared, chose to press on to Kadan. They continued at a brisk pace for the rest of the day. Terran turned often in his saddle, expecting always to glimpse Rune and the other companions galloping up behind them, or suddenly to hear the King of Mona's cheerful "Hello, hello." However, as the day waned, Terran realized that Rune, a slow horseman at best, was by now outdistanced. Fflewddur, he was sure, would not travel after nightfall.
"They have camped somewhere behind us,"
Cole assured Terran.
"We're aught amiss. One of them would have reached us. Fflewddur Flam knows the way to Smoit's castle. We shall all meet there, and if they seem too delayed, Smoit will raise a searching party."
The stout warrior put a hand on Terran's shoulder.
"Ease your spirit until there is clear cause for alarm. Or," he added with a wink, "is it the company of Princess Eilonwy you long for?"
"She should not have come with us," Terran replied, half angrily.
"No doubt,"
Cole grinned.
"Yet you were not the one to speak against her."
Terran grinned back at him. "As for doing that," he said, "I have given it up long since." At mid-morning of the following day, Kadan rose before them, and from a stone tower, Smoit's crimson banner with its emblem of a black bear snapped in the wind. The stronghold had been built in a clearing, and the heavy walls jutted like the bearded king's own brows, scarred and pitted by many a battle. Cole, urging Lamray ahead, shouted to the guards in the name of Gwydion, Prince of Dawn. The massive gates opened, and the companions galloped into the courtyard, where men-at-arms tethered the horses, and a party of warriors led the way to Smoit's great hall. Gwydion strode quickly down the corridor, flanked by the guards. Terran, Cole, and Gurgi followed. "Smoit will be at his meet," Terran said. "His breakfasts last until high noon." He laughed. He says it whets his appetite for the rest of his meals. Gwydion will get no word out of him until we ourselves are stuffed." "Yes, yes," Gurgi cried. "Gurgi longs for tasty crunchings and munchings." "You shall have them, old friend," Terran answered. "Be sure of it." They entered the great hall. At one end stood Smoit's huge throne, cut from half an oak tree and carved in the shape of a bear, with paws upraised on either side. The man seated there was not King Smoit. "Mag!" Terran gasped. Guards fell upon them instantly. Terran's sword was ripped from his belt. With a great cry, Gwydion flung himself against the warriors, but they pressed about him and bore the Prince of Dawn to his knees. Cole, too, was borne down, and a spear pressed against his back. Gurgi yelled in rage and terror. A guard seized him by the scruff of his shaggy neck, buffeting him until the poor creature could barely stagger to his feet. Mag grinned like a skull. With a slight movement of his skinny fingers, he gestured the warriors to stand away. His grey, pinched face twitched with pleasure.
"Our meeting, Lord Gwydion, is one I did not foresee. My warriors hold Kadan, but this is an added prize, and a richer one than I had hoped."
Gwydion's green eyes blazed. "Have you dared even to enter King Smoit's cantreve? Be gone from here before he returns. He shall deal with you less gently than I."
"You will join King Smoit," Mag replied, "though king I scorn to call this rude cantreve lord."
Mag's thin lips curled. Caressingly, he put a hand to his embroidered cloak. Terran saw that Mag's garments were even richer than those the lank-haired man had worn as chief steward to the court of Mona.
"More powerful than Smoit or the king of Mona, more powerful than Queen Akron is my liege lord," Mag said with a yellow smile, "and mightier now than the Prince of Dawn."
He touched the iron chain hanging from his neck and fondled the heavy badge of office. In horror, Terran saw it bore the same symbol that was branded on the foreheads of the huntsmen of Anuvan.
"I serve no lesser liege," Mag said haughtily, "than the king of Anuvan, Aron Deathlord himself."
Gwydion's glance did not falter. "You have found your true master, Mag."
"When we last parted, Lord Gwydion," said Mag, "I believed you dead. It was my joy later to learn that you were not."
The chief steward licked his lips.
"Seldom is one given to savour his revenge twice, and I was patient until the day we should meet again." "Patient, yes," Mag hissed. "Long I wandered after I sailed from the Isle of Mona. There were those I served humbly, biding my time. One sought even to cast me in a dungeon. I, Mag, who once held the kingdom in his grasp."
The voice of the chief steward rose shrilly. His face had gone livid, and his eyes started from their sockets. But in a moment he gained control of his trembling hands and sank back on Smoit's throne. Now the words came from his lips, as if he were tasting each one.
"At length I made my way to Anuvan," Mag said, "to the very threshold of Dark Gate. Lord Aron did not know me then, as he knows me now." Mag nodded in satisfaction. "There was much he learned from me. Lord Aron knew the history of Dernwyn," Mag continued. "He knew it had been lost and found again, and that Gwydion, son of Dawn, bore it. But it was I, Mag, who told him how best to gain it."
"Even your treachery is paltry," Terran said. "Late or soon, with or without you, Aron would have struck on that evil scheme himself."
"Perhaps," Mag said slyly. "Perhaps what he learned from me was less than what I learned from him. For I soon discovered that his power was dangerously balanced. His champion, the Horned King, had long been defeated. Even the Black Crockin, the cauldron that gave him the deathless cauldron born, was shattered. Lord Aron has many secret liege men among the cantreve kings," Mag went on. "He has promised them great riches and domains, and they are sworn to serve him, but his defeats turned them restive. It was I who showed him the means to win stronger allegiance. It was my plan, mine alone, that put Dernwyn in his hands. Word now spreads through the cantreves that Aron Deathlord holds the mightiest weapon in Prydain. He knows its secrets far better than you do, Lord Gwydion, and he knows he cannot be defeated. His liege men rejoice, for they will soon taste victory. Other warlords will rally to his banner, and his host of warriors will grow. I, Mag, have wrought this. the chief steward cried. I, Mag, second only to the Death Lord. I, Mag, speak in his name. I am his trusted emissary, and I ride from realm to realm, gathering armies to destroy the sons of Dawn and those who give them allegiance. All Prydain will be his dominion, and those who stand against him. If Lord Aron chooses to be merciful, he will slay them. His huntsmen will drink their blood, the others will grovel in bondage forever.
Mag's eyes gleamed, his pale brow glistened, and his cheeks quivered violently.
For this, he hissed, for this, Lord Aron has sworn to me by every oath, one day I, Mag, will wear the iron crown of an Uven.
You are as much a fool as a traitor, Gwydion said, in a hard voice, and doubly so. First, to believe Aron, then to believe King Smoit would heed your serpent's words. Have you slain him, then? Only dead would he listen to you.
Smoit lives, answered Mag. I care nothing for his allegiance. I seek the fealty of the liegemen in his cantrev. Smoit shall order them, in his name, to serve my cause.
King Smoit would sooner have his tongue ripped out, Terran cried.
And so perhaps he shall, replied Mag. Mute he will serve me as well. He will ride with me, and I will speak on his behalf better than he would speak on his own. Yet, he mused, I would prefer the commands to come from his own lips, rather than mine. There are ways to loosen his tongue instead of cutting it from his head. Some have already been tried.
Mag narrowed his eyes.
The best means stand before me now. You, Lord Gwydion, and you, Pig-keeper. Speak with him. Let Smoit see that he must yield to me.
Mag smiled crookedly.
Your lives hang on it.
The chief steward moved his head slightly. The guards stepped forward. Roughly, the companions were prodded from the great hall. Shock and despair so filled Terran that he was hardly aware of the passages they were led down. The warriors halted. One flung open a heavy door. Others thrust the companions into a narrow chamber. The door grated shut, and darkness swallowed them. As they groped blindly, Terran stumbled on a prostrate form that stirred and bellowed loudly.
My body and blood!
Roared the voice of King Smoit, and Terran was grappled by a pair of bone-cracking arms.
Are you come again, Mag? You'll not take me alive.
Terran was nearly smothered and crushed before Gwydion called out his own name and the names of the companions. Smoit's grip loosened, and Terran felt a huge hand on his face.
My pulse, and so it is,
cried Smoit, as the companions gathered around him.
The pig-keeper, Lord Gwydion, Cole. I'd know that bald pate of yours anywhere.
His hand fell on Gurgi's dishevelled head.
And the little, whatever it is. Well met, my friends.
Smoit groaned heavily.
And ill met too. How has that simpering sop trapped you? The lard-lipped, squirming lackey has snared us all.
Gwydion quickly told Smoit what had befallen them. The red-bearded king growled furiously.
Mag cooked me as easily as he did you. Yesterday I was at breakfast, and had barely set myself to my meat when my steward brought tidings that a messenger from Lord Gorion sought words with me. Now then, I knew Gorion was at odds with Lord Gast. A matter of cow stealing, as usual. Will the Cantrev laws of Prydain never stop their endless bickering? However, since I'd heard Gast's side of it, I deemed I should listen to Gorion's.
Smoit snorted and struck his massive thigh.
Before I could swallow another mouthful, Mag's warriors were about me, my heart and liver. Some of them will remember Smoit. Another troop had lain in ambush and stormed through the gate.
Smoit put his head in his hands.
Of my own men, those not slain are prisoned in the guard rooms and armories.
And you, Terran asked anxiously, are you in pain? Mag spoke of torture.
Pain?
Smoit bellowed so loudly the chamber echoed.
Torture? I suffer till I sweat, but not at the hands of that long-nosed worm. My skin's thick enough. Let Mag break his teeth on my bones. He troubles me no more than a flea bite or bramble scratch. Why, I've taken worse than a friendly scuffle. Do you speak of pain?
Smoit stormed on.
By every hair of my beard I swear it pains me more than hot iron to be mewed up in my own castle, my own stronghold, and a captive in it.
Gold in my own great hall, my own food and drink snatched from my lips, and my breakfast ruined. Torment? Worse than that. It's enough to sour a man of his appetite. Gwydion and Cole, meanwhile, had made their ways to the walls, and as far as the dim light allowed, were hastily examining them for any sign of weakness. Taran, now that his eyes had grown a little more used to the gloom, feared that his companions were wasting their labours. The cell was windowless. What little air reached them came only from the tiny, heavily barred grating of the door. The floor was not of hard-packed earth, but of flagstones, joined with barely a crack. Smoit himself, realizing the purpose of Gwydion's efforts, shook his head and pounded his iron-shod boots on the floor. "Solid as a mountain," he cried. "I know, for I built it myself. Spare yourselves pains, my friends. It will crack no sooner than I." "How far below ground is this dungeon?" Taran asked, though his hope for escape was fading with each moment. "Is there no way we can dig upward?" "Dungeon!" cried Smoit. "I've no more dungeons in Kadan. When last we met you called my dungeons useless. Right you were, and so I walled them up. Now there's no wrongdoing in my country that I can't settle quicker and easier with a few words. Who hears my voice will mend his ways, or mend his head. Dungeon indeed! It's a spare larder." "Would that I had stocked it as solidly as I built it," groaned Smoit. "Let Mag bring his irons and lashes. I'll heed them not a bit in the midst of this other fiendish torment. The larder lies beside my scullery. I've not lined my belly for 2 days. 2 years, it feels. The vile traitor has not left off his feasting, and for me, no more than the sniff of it. Oh, he shall pay for this," Smoit cried. "I'll beg him one thing only, a moment with my paws about his skinny neck. I'll squeeze out all the puddings and pastries he's ever gobbled." Gwydion had come to crouch beside the furious Smoit. "Your larder may be our tomb," he said grimly. "Not only for ourselves," he added. "Fflewddur Fflam leads our companions here. Mag's jaws will close on them as tightly as they are closed on us."
Hey, you want to buy something? You can check the description for my books and audiobooks. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.